Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Matrix. Today we've got something exciting, thrilling, mind-blowing lined up for you. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. Amidst the chaos of battle, a medical team works tirelessly to save the wounded. Inside a makeshift tent, a French officer lies unconscious, riddled with bullet wounds. A doctor operates quickly, extracting 3 bullets from the officer's abdomen, then pauses. A 4th bullet emerges, odd, gleaming. It's made of silver and not of German origin. The estate of Baron Seamus Laurent sits proudly in the distance. He lives with his wife, Isabelle, and their children, Charlotte and Edward. Not far from their manor, a caravan of gypsies arrives, setting up camp among the trees. Storm clouds gather. Within the camp, the elder gypsy woman, Florence, presses a handful of silver coins into the blacksmith Theodore's hand. By the forge's firelight, Theodore melts the coins. He carefully molds the liquid silver into grotesque fangs, forming a sinister set of dentures. Florence places them reverently on an altar. Inside, Charlotte and Edward sneak downstairs, curious about the tense gathering of adults. A meeting is underway. Local landowners discuss the arrival of the gypsies. A priest reveals there are documents confirming the gypsies' ancestral claim to the land, but suggests they can be falsified. He advises hiring mercenaries to drive the nomads out, by force if necessary. Baron Seamus and his men confront the gypsies. The encounter barely lasts a minute before the first gunshot rings out. Panic ensues. The gypsies are outnumbered and encircled. Tents are set ablaze, bodies fall, and smoke chokes the air. The victors stand triumphant, even pausing to take a photograph of their conquest. Florence and Theodore are captured. The mercenaries also seize the silver dentures. As Theodore is bound and mutilated, one of the Baron's men scoffs at gypsy beliefs. He considers keeping the silver teeth, but disgust wins out. He orders them buried with Florence. Theodore, now limbless, is nailed to a cross like a scarecrow, a burlap sack over his head. Florence watches, screaming. Before she's buried alive, she clutches the denture box and mutters a torrent of ancient curses. Charlotte and Edward sing playfully, oblivious to the atrocities carried out by their father just beyond their home. That night, Charlotte dreams of the scarecrow, its head turning on its own. In the dream, she digs near it, driven by something unseen. John McBride, a pathologist, arrives and rents a room. He discreetly inquires about recent gypsy activity, raising suspicions. Soon after, Lieutenant Alfred enters. It's clear the two men know each other. Their conversation is terse and cryptic. Neither reveals too much. Edward, sword in hand, plays alone in the garden. A strange smoke drifts past. He follows it through the trees. He arrives at the site where Theodore once stood. The scarecrow looms. Whispers rise. A woman's voice. Entranced, Edward begins to dig. He finds the box of silver teeth. The moment he touches it, a vision of Florence appears, hovering, advancing toward him at a terrifying speed. Just before she reaches him, Edward awakens, screaming, in his pajamas, lying in the yard under the moonlight. The next morning, a boy named Timmy pulls Charlotte and the other children aside, insisting they swear to secrecy. If Seamus finds out, he warns, my whole family could be banished. They follow him to the scarecrow, tucked away on the edge of the village. Edward hesitates. We're not supposed to be here. The elders forbade it. Only after the fire, Timmy replies. Then, looking at them intently, have any of you dreamt about the scarecrow? One by one they nod. Same nightmare. Without another word, Timmy begins to dig. The others protest, fear creeping into their voices, but he ignores them. When he unearths the box and opens it, his hand begins to tremble violently. Something unseen overtakes him. He reaches in and pulls out a pair of dentures, which he places in his mouth as if compelled. A grotesque smile spreads across his face. With an inhuman growl, Timmy lunges at Edward and sinks his teeth into his neck. Charlotte flees in terror, sprinting home to alert the adults. Moments later, the adults gather in a panic. The village doctor arrives, muttering complaints about the dim room. Isabelle explains, The light bothers his eyes. The doctor examines Edward. Looks like an animal bite, he mutters. But Charlotte knows better. That night, she suffers the same nightmare. Again. Waking with a jolt, she hears something in Edward's room. She rushes in. Edward is drenched in sweat, his chest heaving. She lifts the blanket and screams. Black roots are wrapping around his torso, pulsing as if alive. Her scream brings their parents running. Seamus storms in, but the bed is empty, stained with blood. The front door swings open. Edward is gone. Seamus immediately organizes a search party in the woods. Charlotte's stomach drops when she sees Timmy among the volunteers. She says nothing. They find nothing. Isabel is broken. Days later, Lieutenant Alfred knocks on John McBride's door. "We need your help," he says grimly. "There's been an incident, possibly connected to gypsies." At the church, Timmy pulls Charlotte aside. "I don't remember any of it," he says, haunted. She tells him what happened. "We didn't tell the adults," she says, "because we promised. But we were wrong." Timmy is shaken. He opens his Bible and flips to a passage. "The dentures," he says. "They were made from the silver coins Judas was paid." He rips out the page, handing it to Charlotte. "I buried them in the church's holy ground." But the curse remains. Timmy's face pales. "We're all going to die. The sins of the elders. Someone has to pay." Suddenly, Anais, the maid, opens the confessional door. Timmy jumps and bolts out of the church. Anais escorts Charlotte home. Outside, Timmy sees a figure in the distance, Edward, shirtless, staring at him. "Edward?" he calls, chasing after him into the trees. Deep in the woods, Timmy slows. The air is thick. He squints, heart pounding. Then something lunges past, slashing his arm wide open. He collapses, bleeding, gasping. The growls grow louder. He tries to hide. It's no use. When Alfred and John arrive at Seamus's house, he's pale and shaken. "It's worse," he says, leading them to a cabin in the woods. Inside, Alfred recoils, retching at the sight. John forces himself in. Timmy's body is barely recognizable, mangled, torn apart. In his pocket, John finds the torn Bible page, with the Judas passage underlined. He steps outside. "It was a wolf," he states flatly. Alfred nods. "That closes Edward's case, too. The country's drowning in cholera. We don't have the resources." But John isn't convinced. He offers to continue the investigation alone. Alfred doesn't object. Seamus walks him through the house, sharing everything he knows. John suggests they board the ground floor windows. Just in case. That night, as John lies in bed, his dreams twist and darken. The scarecrow appears once more. In his dream, John keeps digging even after unearthing the box, until his hands strike something else. He pulls away the dirt to reveal Florence's body, lifeless and decayed. A voice suddenly calls his name. He looks up to see a woman holding hands with a blonde-haired girl. As he turns around, he notices the scarecrow that once stood behind him has vanished. Panic sets in as he spots it across the field, now walking away with the woman and child in tow. John jolts awake, breath ragged. He lights a candle, casting flickering shadows across the room. A portrait on his bedside table catches the light. It's the same woman and blonde girl from his dream. From the hallway, muffled voices break the silence. John listens, realizing it's Seamus arguing with his wife. Their words are indistinct, but their tone is sharp and strained. John begins to piece things together. Isabel and Charlotte are broken by Edward's disappearance, and their grief clashes with Seamus's unyielding demand for discipline and decorum. The next day, during the family meal, a heavy silence lingers until Charlotte suddenly asks, "Are we all going to die?" Seamus snaps, forbidding her to speak that way at the table. Later, John notices a stain on the door Edward fled through, dark, dried, and resembling blood. When the others are away, he scrapes a sample. In his room, he slices his thumb with a razor, letting a drop fall onto a slide. Under examination, his own blood shows movement and complexity. The sample from the door is still, with a different structure, lifeless. Before he can investigate further, a low, muffled sound draws his attention. He peers through the cracks in the boarded window and glimpses a massive eye, non-human, watching him. Alarmed, he calls for Seamus and asks for a rifle. They open the door together, but whatever was there is already gone. John insists they must organize a hunting party. Seamus hesitates, but eventually summons the other barons. The meeting is tense. The barons don't appreciate a stranger issuing commands. But when John reveals he once worked on a case known as the Beast of Gévaudan, their skepticism falters. The barons are disturbed by the comparison. One suggests calling the army. John agrees in theory, but explains that without hard proof, no one will respond. This convinces them. A strict order is issued. All villagers must remain indoors, windows barred, until the creature is captured. Despite the mandate, 3 peasants sneak out: Jacob, Callum, and a nervous girl named Anne-Marie. They plan only a quick task in the fields. In the woods, Callum hears something and picks up a thick branch, venturing off alone. Anne-Marie grows anxious when he doesn't return. Strange noises surround her. She calls for Jacob,
but finds him slumped over a fence, unmoving. As she approaches, she sees the horrifying truth: a monstrous creature is feeding on him. She screams and runs, but the beast catches up, knocking her down and tearing into her. Out of nowhere, Callum appears and strikes the creature with the branch, shouting at her to run. Blood sprays her face. She scrambles away, eventually forcing herself to her feet. She runs, the only survivor. Her neighbors take her in and notify the authorities. At the location she describes, only scraps of torn clothing remain. John questions Anne-Marie about what she saw. She whispers her answer: a dragon. No one believes her. When John learns that Anne-Marie has also been bitten, he insists on examining her immediately. But by the time he arrives, it's already too late. The window stands open, blood stains the bedsheets, and Anne-Marie is gone. Grimly, John turns to Seamus and explains that the situation is far worse than they imagined. He orders everyone to take shelter in the church and fortify it, warning them that something is hunting the villagers. Meanwhile, Anne-Marie stumbles through the forest, visibly deteriorating. Delirious and confused, she begs for water. But then, she screams in agony as something begins to sprout from her back, twisting roots, just like the ones that overtook Edward. The roots pull her down the riverbank and cocoon her in a tangle of vines beneath the surface. That night, the villagers gather in the church, heeding John's warning. John, unable to sleep, confides in Isabel. He tells her about his family, his wife and daughters, who were victims of the dreaded Beast of Gévaudan. Since then, he's devoted his life to investigating similar phenomena. He recalls how, after the tragedy, a group of gypsies arrived and identified the curse. They claimed it could only be restrained by gypsy silver. Isabel starts to speak of the massacre her husband ordered against those same gypsies, but he enters at that moment and silences her. At dawn, John ventures out alone to set traps. As he passes the scarecrow, he notices a freshly dug hole nearby. Exhausted, haunted by memories, he nearly loses focus, until a sudden presence snaps him back to reality. He watches the creature slip into a nearby cabin and prepares for confrontation. When the beast charges out the door, John sidesteps, and it falls straight into his trap, impaled by sharpened stakes. He binds the monster and hauls it back to the village for examination. Seamus and the others recoil in shock. It's clearly no ordinary wolf. Unfazed, John warns them that their ordeal is just beginning. As he begins the autopsy, something inside the creature moves. A face presses against a translucent membrane, slippery and pale. It's Anne-Marie. She's alive, trying to claw her way out. The villagers panic, but John stops them. He explains that the infected never return the same. There's no saving them. All they can offer is mercy. Anne-Marie bursts through the membrane, shrieking in pain and confusion. Her cries confirm John's words. A single gunshot ends her suffering. Seamus is shattered, realizing now that Edward likely suffered the same fate. John, growing impatient, demands to know who the woman under the scarecrow is, the one haunting their dreams. Seamus refuses to answer. He denounces the idea of curses and defends his son's innocence. He begs the others to keep the truth from Isabel and vows to hunt the creature himself, claiming it's his burden to bear. John lets him go, knowing it's futile to argue. Instead, he turns to Isabel. She shows him a photograph from the day the gypsies were driven out. John shares what he found in Timmy's pocket, a page torn from the Bible. He tells her the answers lie with the woman buried beneath the scarecrow, and with the silver coins linked to her curse. Charlotte finally breaks her silence, partially. She flips to a new page in the book, revealing a chilling theory. The silver from the dentures is the same silver once paid to Judas. She points to a sketch of the church's confessional. That's where Timmy hid them. John doesn't hesitate. He rushes to the church. The moment he lays eyes on the silver dentures, his expression hardens. "Call the army," he says. Outside, Seamus and his men keep watch, weapons ready. Meanwhile, Anais pulls linens from the clothesline. She freezes. Two grotesque paws appear beneath the fluttering sheet. Before she can scream, the wind whips it away, revealing the beast inches from her. Anais bolts, but the monster lunges. Blood splatters the sheets. The creature vanishes into the night, leaving Anais crawling back inside, bleeding and alone. She treats her wounds in silence. Back in the church, John melts down the silver teeth, casting 4 bullets. By the time Seamus returns, empty-handed and seething, Anais is composed. She says nothing of the attack, masking her pain as she serves dinner, but John has seen the blood-soaked linens. He storms in, breathless. "Did anyone go missing?" Seamus cuts him off, glancing at his daughter Isabel. "Not now." John, distraught, insists, "This is on me. My family fell to monsters like this too." Seamus stands, cold and firm. "Get out." John nods. "I'll wait for the army on the porch." That night, Charlotte asks her mother to sleep beside her. Seamus takes refuge at his desk. Anais locks herself in her room, her body beginning to change. Strange noises echo through the vent. Seamus grabs a rifle and ascends the stairs. In the kitchen, John prepares tea, leaving his own rifle by the door. Anais's room is like the others before her, empty bed, blood-stained sheets, but the window's shut. She's still here. He scans the shadows. A sudden blur, she attacks. The candle tumbles, igniting the room. Downstairs, Isabel notices the kettle. Seamus is gone. She calls out to John, then hears the gunshot. They find the creature burning in the middle of the room. Isabel screams. Seamus ran out the front. John sees the fire spreading. He races after Seamus. Isabel runs for Charlotte, who's hiding under the bed. In the stable, John finds Seamus. "I was bitten," Seamus says. He lights a fire around himself to stop the change. Back at the house, Isabel and Charlotte hide as the creature returns, climbing the stairs. Smoke thickens. Flames roar. They sneak out the front door, where John is waiting. He leads them toward the church. Halfway there, they're not alone. "Down." John commands, spotting the creature in the dark. Charlotte gasps. Her grandmother's body lies among the fallen. John fires a silver bullet. The beast recoils. The path clears. They make it to the church. Inside, Timmy's father is furious. "We wait? Seamus is dead." John keeps calm. "We only made it because of the silver. We've got 4 bullets. We wait for daylight, we don't miss." Later, everyone sleeps. Isabel kneels in prayer for her son. Then, howling close, she rises, drawn to the church door. From beyond the door, Edward's voice breaks through the silence, desperate, pleading for help. Isabel rushes to the door, her hands trembling as she fumbles with the lock. The sound stirs everyone awake, but they're too late to stop her. She swings the door open. A wall of thick fog greets her, swallowing the world beyond. She squints into the gray void, holding her breath, then she sees it. The monster steps into view. Gunfire erupts behind her as the men react instinctively. Bullets tear through the fog, but the beast doesn't falter. It charges into the church, unleashing havoc, tearing through wood and bodies alike. John steadies his aim and fires the second silver bullet, but it misses. Isabel screams above the chaos, standing her ground. She won't run, not from her own son. The creature lunges. She's bitten. John catches her as she collapses, her blood staining his hands. His eyes fill with grief. "I'm sorry," he whispers, and fires again. This time, the bullet hits. The beast shudders, then begins to change, shrinking, softening, until Edward's broken body lies where the creature once stood. Mother and son fall together on the church floor. Moments pass. Then, Edward's eyes flicker open. But Isabel doesn't move. Later, in the quiet after the storm, we learn Edward remembers nothing of that night. John, carrying the weight of it all, adopts him alongside Charlotte. And in time, we discover Edward's fate. He will live for 35 more years, until the day he dies as a French officer, falling on the battlefield. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with me today, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.